Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis emulation with ClownMD Emu. And ClownMD Emu just got a brand new update here, version 1.0. So with this new version of ClownMD Emu, it now supports save data. On top of that, there's optimizations, bug fixes, and even more. On top of that, the developer has put out a pretty detailed blog post explaining even more about the project. And like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below right at the bottom. Anyways, here the developer says the big day is here. After 3 years of development, my Mega Drive emulator has reached a basic level of feature completeness. At this point, it is not unusual to load a game that had never been tried in the emulator before and for it to run flawlessly. The final vital features to be added were Motorola 68,000 instruction duration, save data, and accurate window plane emulation. With those added, the emulator is finally complete. Now, even though this emulator is complete, the developer is not abandoning the project. They're still working on it moving forward and adding more features and improving it. ClownMD Emu is 100% free, it's open source, and it's available in .exe and .app image files. Moving on, and we're talking about a very interesting website that has captured my attention. The website is called Retro Catalog, and if you're interested in retro handhelds and comparing them, this website may be up your alley. Interestingly, the data on this website is taken from a whole bunch of different sources. I mean, they've got TechDweeb, Retro Handhelds, Retro Gamecore. They've got ETA Prime, Aiden Walls, Joy's Retro Handhelds, Take Udon, The Fox, and Retro Tech Dad, and Retro Breeze, and even more. And this website has a ton of information. I mean, taking a look at the website, and they've already got the Amberneck RG34XX up here, and it hasn't even released yet. This is a very interesting website. On top of that, they've also got stuff in here like the 3DS XL, the 3DS, the 2DS, and even more. And you can see what systems these systems can emulate. I honestly don't know how I didn't know about this website before, but if you are aware of this website, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. If you've been using it, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And if you're just discovering it, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And speaking about websites, if you're interested in checking out websites and reading articles, you may be interested in this website here. It's called Read Only Memo. And they have just posted a brand new article recapping a whole bunch of stuff in the retro gaming and emulation scene in November. The article here is called The Before Crisis Crisis, How Hackers Are Rebuilding the Lost Final Fantasy VII Mobile Game Piece by Tiny Piece. Plus RPCS3 turning a Raspberry Pi into a PSP-esque PS3, a new feature for the Sega Saturn Mister Core, and some fan translations due in 2025. And this article is by Wes Fenlon. In my opinion, this article is worth checking out. It's very interesting. There's a lot of relevant links and a lot of information, and you can spend quite a bit of time here. The overall website, Read Only Memo, we've talked about a few times on this channel. It's a fantastic website. And speaking about websites, next up we're talking about the Hidden Palace. And if you weren't aware about the Hidden Palace, it's a website dedicated to game preservation. There's a lot of prototypes, betas, and unreleased games on this website. In fact, it just got a brand new game, Kaena, I'm not quite sure on how to pronounce that. It's one for the PS2 that never saw the light of day and featured an all-star cast. Now, the Hidden Palace page doesn't have a whole lot of details about the game just yet, but the movie was back in 2003, and I think that's the time frame for this game as well. For some reason, the game was never released, but the full English debug version has now been preserved. So thanks to the efforts largely from Robin Davies, we've now got this game preserved over on the Hidden Palace. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below and whether or not you're interested in Kaena. And speaking about games, next up we're talking about Xbox and Xbox exclusives. And Jez Corden here has a whole lot of people talking based on something he recently said. Xbox won't have exclusives going forward. Everything is a timed exclusive at most. Now that was a response to this series of tweets here. It started out with Xbox Studios' 2025 schedule is seriously looking insane at this point. This person says, I was actually given code names for 3 unannounced Xbox games, all due at the moment, next year too. One of the games I actually found out what it was, and the people will be excited, I reckon. And this person asks, any of those exclusive or going to PlayStation 2? Now, as for my opinion on this one, I'm excited but not really surprised based on Xbox's recent stance. They're trying to have people game on everything and everywhere. I don't know if you remember that marketing campaign. So having exclusives would kind of go against that whole methodology. I think this makes a lot of sense for Xbox, although it may reduce Xbox console sales, which arguably aren't selling the most anyway. Next up here, we're talking about Apple, and it turns out that Apple may be joining the trend a few years late and making some foldable phones. So it appears, based on a leak from the Wall Street Journal, that Apple has foldable phones in their sights, and I guess thinner iPhones as well. So based on this information, now that emulation apps are officially on the App Store, I'm assuming that Apple users are going to be excited about a foldable edition if they do emulate a lot of DS stuff. I could be wrong with that, but I don't think so here. I mean, I think foldable phones make perfect little emulation devices for stuff like the DS. Moving on, and we're talking about Kali Linux. So if you're into security measures and pen testing and stuff, you may be interested that Kali Linux just got a brand new release and they've updated their kernel. So first and foremost, they've updated Python to version 3.12. They also say it's the end of the i386 kernel and images, but not packages. You can now customize Kali Linux right from the Raspberry Pi imager, which is awesome. I think this is a huge step forward and a really nice improvement. They've updated GNOME to 47. I believe the Linux kernel on this one is 6.11. There's a whole host of new tools and even more. If you use Kali Linux, you may want to check out their latest official release. Next up, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, and I didn't want to talk about this one in this video because we've talked about the Switch 2 in I think the two previous videos. Anyways, there's going to be rumors again and again and again and again and again about this brand new console that pop up. Some may have some truth to them and some may be just completely far-fetched. Anyways, this is the latest one for the Switch 2 if you are interested. Nintendo may advance the next generation Switch reveal with an announcement that could possibly come before Donkey Kong. This is to address recent leaks, especially of accessories, to ensure official news for the public. The remaining announcements of Switch games may come a little later. Now, I don't want to say that this is a big nothing burger because we have seen accessories that have reportedly leaked the new Switch design. I'm curious though, where there's smoke, sometimes there is fire, and we've seen a lot of accessories from different manufacturers use that same new Switch design. So I'm very curious here to see what happens moving forward, to see if the actual Switch that we've seen in these accessory leaks is the real deal, or if it's going to be something completely different. Next up here is a quick heads up. If you're on mobile and you like racing games, you might be excited to know that Grid Legends Deluxe Edition is out now on iOS and Android. In Canada on Android, it costs about $15 overall. Now, the previous versions of these games were pretty popular, and I'm wondering if this one is going to be popular as well. Let me know your thoughts about something like Grid Legends in the comments below. And last up here, we're talking about Baldurs Gate 3, which is reportedly getting review bombed by Black Myth Wukong fans. Now, we talked about Black Myth Wukong in yesterday's video, I think. The CEO from the game studio behind Black Myth Wukong was not happy that they didn't win Game of the Year. They were disappointed about it. Although they were happy they won 2 awards at the Game Awards, they were disappointed they didn't win Game of the Year. And Alana Pierce, who was sitting a few rows ahead of the people from Black Myth Wukong, said someone in that row was crying that they didn't win. In my opinion here, I think it goes to show how passionate the developers behind Black Myth Wukong actually were, and surprisingly how much the Game Awards mattered to them. Anyways, here I've got no shade on Black Myth Wukong at all. I think it's a fantastic game. I think it was deserving of the awards it won. And I don't put too much stock in Game of the Year, although I was a little upset that a DLC portion of a game was nominated for Game of the Year. But that's a story for another day. Anyways, here, apparently the creator of Baldurs Gate 3 said a few things that set the fans off a little bit. So the creator of Baldurs Gate 3 said something along the lines of, the winner didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets and didn't treat their developers like numbers on a spreadsheet. I mean, I could absolutely see how those comments could piss off a fan base, but taking a look at Baldurs Gate 3 over on Steam here, and it's still got an overwhelmingly positive review score with over 600,000 reviews. I mean, this game is highly reviewed, and it's going to take a lot of people to really change this review from overwhelmingly positive to something else. Now, if I head down to the reviews and filter on the most recent ones here, they're all positive. I don't see any negative reviews. Now, if I filter to most recent negative comments, and I really don't see a whole lot of signs of review bombing. I mean, maybe this one, they think it's a boring game. This one here, I don't think this is a review bomb. They're just upset that there's no goblin romance option. Taking a look down as well, there's maybe one or two here. This person's not happy it has a launcher. I mean, I can get behind that. This person here, if I scroll down a little bit, this one says it is not better than Astrobot. Here we go. Disrespectful to the Chinese community. So unless I'm late to the party on this one, I would say the review bombing really isn't happening, or it has happened and, well, it didn't make much of an impact. Either way, there's a lot of review bombing that goes on in today's society based on things that people aren't happy about, and it seems the community gets together and rallies and, well, supports that one single cause. We'll have to wait and see here to see if anything changes, but I've got a hunch that nothing really is going to. However, there is something I want to point out here. So taking a look at both games on Steam, Baldurs Gate 3, I said, had a lot of reviews with over 600,000. Well, take a look here at Myth Wukong. It's got over 700,000, in fact, over 750,000 reviews. And this game has an overwhelmingly positive review score, so it's easy to tell that this game is very well loved as well. So my 2 cents here is if you enjoy the game, great. Just enjoy it and don't really worry about the awards. It doesn't really matter what someone else thinks of the game that you like, and I think that should be the main message here, but who knows? Let me know your thoughts about all of that in the comments below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. The fluff is upstairs underneath the Christmas tree. She's cuddled and she is warm, toasty, and happy. The tree is by register and she is just soaking up all of that heat. I'm a little bit sick here, I apologize, but anyways, we pushed through, we got a video out, and hopefully it was of some sort of value to you. We talked about a bunch today, so let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.